final match of Turning Stone Classic XXXVII started, with Mika Immonen winning the leg. In the first break of the match, as you can see, he potted the 2-ball, with the placement of the cue ball in the middle of the table. Everything was wide open except for the 6-ball, which he decided to play in a combo. He placed the cue ball well for the 6-8 combo. Unfortunately, he overcut the 6-ball slightly, which resulted in the miss. Fedor had the thin cut on 6, which he played softly for the perfect position on the 7-ball. Regarding the 7-ball, he decided to play the stop shot. After playing the stop shot, he used 3 rails to bring the cue ball for the position on the 9, which he slightly overdid. Nonetheless, he potted the 9-ball for the first lead in the match. In the second frame, Fedor potted the ball number 2 on the break with the cue ball in the top half of the table, with a thin cut on the 1-ball. It was quite surprising that he missed the 1-ball hanging in the pocket. Mika potted the 1 and 3-ball with the position for a thin cut on the 4-ball. He had to switch the hands to play it in a left-handed way, so he potted it. He left himself with an awkward cueing shot over the 8-ball. After potting the 5-ball, he was in the prime position to win his first frame in the match. And he didn't miss this opportunity. Mika potted 2 balls on his break in the third frame with the good position for the ball number 2. After potting the ball number 2 and playing the backspin on the ball number 3, he completed the first break and run in the match for his lead. He continued with the good break, once again potting 2 balls on it. However, he had a very thin cut on the 1-ball, which he had to play in a cautious way for the position on the next 3-ball. He executed it perfectly. After potting the ball number 3, his shots on balls 4 and 5 were great as well. However, he left himself the thin cut on the 8-ball, which resulted in yet another miss. As we could say so far, Mika was more dominant in the match, but 2 missed balls in 4 starting racks let Fedor come to the equalizer. Fedor potted 3 balls on the break in the third frame. Unluckily, he didn't have the offensive opportunities, so we saw the first safety battle in the Turning Stone final. Fedor cut 3-ball thinly to keep it behind the 5-ball, while using 2 rails, the long and the bottom short one, for the placement of the cue ball in between 4 and 6 balls. After evaluating his options, Mika chose to a finesse kick shot in order to make the 3-ball pass the 5-ball for the resave. Unfortunately for him, he left the open 3-ball for the upper left pocket, which Fedor didn't want to play. Instead, he played the safety shot in which he kept the cue ball behind the 5 and without the opportunity for Mika to play 1-rail kick shot. Mika hit the 2-rail kick shot. Unfortunately, he left an easy pot in the right middle pocket. After hitting the perfect shot and having the awesome position on the 4-ball, the rest was routine for Fedor. The first safety battle went Fedor's way. After the first safety battle won, and having the break for the 2-frame lead, Fedor scratched in the right middle pocket. Mika ended the frame by playing bottom right English on the 8-ball for the easy 9-ball. Mika used this opportunity gifted to him by Fedor to equalize the result 2-3 all. Frame 7 is next. And Mika made a mistake by scratching in the top right corner, and how furious he was you can notice by his body language. We witnessed an eye for an eye situation, and now Fedor ran the rack as previously Mika did on the Fedor scratch. 4-3 for Fedor. In the rack number 8, we witnessed the first dry break in the final. After potting the 1 ball, Mika left himself the wrong angle to bring the cue ball for the 3 ball. Nonetheless, we know how great champion he is, so he potted the 2 ball and played the perfect speed for the 3 ball, which put him in the prime position for yet another equalizer of the match. In the rack number 9, Immonen potted ball number 3 on the break. However, the cue ball was stuck on bottom rail next to ball number 5. He potted the 1 ball and left himself with the long 2 ball, and the only offensive chance for potting the 2 ball was banking it into the upper right corner. However, he chose to play carom shot on the 5 ball, which he missed by a hair. Fedor had his opportunity now. He could cut the ball thinly, which was thick enough for the 2-5 combo, leaving himself the long shot on the ball number 2 in front of the bottom right pocket. After potting it, there were no obstacles for him to run the rack and for his 5-4 lead. Support the Roda's analytics by liking this video, clicking the subscribe button and the bell for future notifications. This was the second Fedor's dry break in the final, and luckily for him, he only left the defensive opportunity for Mika, who hid the cue ball behind the ball number 3, leaving Fedor the kick shot. Fedor hit the ball number 1, but cue ball was left in the proximity of it. Even though Mika didn't want the contact on the 9 ball, he was able to have the clear pocketing position of the 2 ball and completely open table, furthermore the chance to run the rack, which he utilized. In the rack 11, Immonen potted 2 balls on the break, but he was unfortunate due to the position of the ball number 2 on the bottom rail, which only allowed him to make another defensive shot. Fedor hit the 2 ball but left it to Mika for a not so easy shot in the top right corner. Nonetheless, Mika potted the ball number 2 and left himself the good position on the 4 ball. He potted it with the perfect cue ball position using 3 rails for running the rack and gaining the lead once again, 6-5 for Mika. He earned the last 2 racks by playing good safety plays, and by Fedor not making good 1-rail kick shots. In the rack number 12, Mika Immonen potted 1 and 7 balls on the break with the great position on the 2 ball in the middle of the table. After potting the ball number 2, he didn't get the good bounce of the 3rd rail for a difficult shot on 3 ball. However, he got it perfectly into the left middle pocket, and the outstanding speed control put him in the position of going to the 2-rack lead for the first time in the Turning Stone final match. He was breaking for the chance of the 3-rack lead, but unfortunately he had a dry break. Luckily for him, Fedor was only able to play the push shot. He pushed it to the bottom rail. Immonen opted to shoot the difficult shot on the 1 ball and missed it, leaving Fedor the clear 1 ball and the angle for the likely position on the ball number 2. Fedor overhit it and was positioned slightly lower than he would have wanted, but selected to use the 8 ball as the way to stop the cue ball for the good position on the 3. He used the inside spin to hold the cue ball for the 4 ball. However, it seems that he still had many problems in this rack. He solved those issues by the perfect hit with inside spin for the perfect position on the 5 ball, and ultimately he won the rack for 6-7 and the break. After potting 2 balls on the break and almost losing the cue ball in the top left corner, he was only able to play the defensive shot, and although he overhit the 1 and the cue ball, he managed to get the safety behind the 2 ball. Immonen almost potted the 1 ball with the kick shot, and he was rewarded with only leaving the left edge of the 1 ball to Fedor Gorst. Fedor cut 1 ball and used the 3 ball as the way of slowing it down, while bringing down the 1 ball to the bottom half of the table for the safety. Mika played the kick shot and was able to leave the right edge of the 1 ball to Fedor. After hitting it thinly, Fedor left the pocketing of 1 ball in between 5 and 7 balls directly into the top left pocket. Mika played the outstanding shot here, and he had the perfect position on the 2 ball for yet another safety battle won by Mika for the second 2-rack lead, 8-6. In the rack 15, Immonen potted the 6 ball and he had the continuation, but a difficult shot on the 1 ball in the middle of the top rail. He attempted to play the safety shot, but the 1 ball remained in the middle of the table by hitting the 2 ball. Fedor had a perfect stroke and stop shot, while pocketing the 1 ball in the bottom left pocket for the prime position on the 2, which allowed him to run the rack and once again reduce Mika's lead to just 1 frame. Fedor potted 2 balls on the break, while the 2 ball brought the cue ball on the verge of scratching in the top right corner. He didn't want to risk by banking the 1 ball, so he opted to play the safety shot behind balls 6 and 7. Unluckily for him, he left a window between them for yet another awesome shot by the Finnish legend and the perfect 3-rail position on the 2 ball. Mika here seemed to be quite confident and unwilling to let Fedor equalize the match. When he played the 4 ball, he chose to leave the 6-7 combo for himself, which he executed perfectly for a position to once again lead by 2 racks, 9-7. Mika potted the 2 ball on the break, but he still had the difficult shot on the 1, which unfortunately for him he missed. Luckily for him, Fedor didn't have the chance to pot it, so he selected to try the defensive shot by holding the 1 ball with the help of the 3 ball and using 3 rails to bring the cue ball to the bottom area on the right long rail. Mika hit the 3-rail kick shot but left the 1 ball for the left middle pocket. Fedor wanted the safety shot and the 7 ball as a barrier. Mika managed to hit 1 ball, but he left the long potting opportunity to Fedor. By the way, at this moment, the efficiency of kick shots was 100% for both players so far in the match. After potting it, Fedor left the position for the 3 ball in the bottom left pocket, which allowed him to ultimately win the rack for once again 1 rack behind. In the rack 18, Fedor potted 2 balls once again with the enough thick position to pot the 1 ball in the right middle pocket. He also used the 6 ball as the way to stop the cue ball for the perfect position. There weren't any problems on the table and he managed to have break and run for an equalizer, 9-9. The rack 19 was a real fist fight. Fedor was breaking and potted the 3 and the 1 ball barely got in the top left corner for the quite unfortunate situation for him since he couldn't shoot the 2 ball. He played the push shot leaving only the kick shot. Mika chose to bring Fedor back to the table and Fedor played the outstanding kick shot, making a re-safety and causing Mika to scratch on his head while thinking about his next move. He played the 2-ball with a lot of power, and he was fortunate enough when cue-ball slided over the 6-ball and welded itself to the 7-ball for the resave. That position on the other hand caused Fedor's hand gestures. His kick shot wasn't as good as the previous one, so he left thin cut on the 2-ball for Mika. Surprisingly, the Iceman overcut it and also left the thin cut for Fedor to the same pocket. Fedor played it softly and he secured the perfect position on the 4-ball, running the rack and the 10-9 lead. Third rack in a row for the Ghost. In the rack 20, Fedor potted the 8-ball, and the balls were spread very well across the felt. He ran a ball after ball after ball for his break and run, and the 4th rack in a row. The Iceman seems to be in trouble. Fedor continued with the great break, potted the 6-ball, and once again he had a relatively easy run. After pocketing the 1-ball and the 2-ball, he had to play the not so problematic 3-7 combo. Most likely because of the lack of focus, he left the 3-ball for the behind the back shot, which he executed very well, as well as the rest of the balls for the second break and run in a row and arriving on the hill. His break on the hill was quite good. He pocketed 2 balls and he had mediocre difficulty shot on the 2-ball. The relief was that he didn't need to worry about the cue ball position for the 3-ball. Surprisingly, he missed it and left the 2-3 combo for the Iceman, who eagerly waited for this opportunity after 5 consecutive racks won by Fedor. Mika managed to hold the 2-ball after the successful combo. He played soft 2-rail position for the 4-ball and managed to get on the scoreboard for the first time in the last 6 racks. The Iceman also potted 2 balls on the break with a good position on the 1-ball. He played the perfect stun-through shot for the prime position on the 2. After that, he completed the break and run for being only 1 step away from the hill-hill final match. Although Mika managed to pot the 7-ball, the 1-ball hit both tips of the right middle pocket and positioned dangerously close to the cue ball. It looks like Mika's cue action wasn't so smooth, so he missed the 1-ball. Fedor didn't have the entire potting angle. He opted for the Massey shot, in which he didn't curve the cue ball enough, but luckily for him, after the double kiss, he managed to pot it. The cue ball path and the position from 2 to 3 ball was quite challenging, but Fedor managed to walk it through the 8-9 gap to leave the long 3 ball with barely enough room to go along the 4 ball. He played the great shot on the 3 ball with the prime position on the 4 ball. The cue ball had the similar path as the one when he pocketed the 2 ball. By playing the perfect position from 4 ball to 5 ball, he was now the huge favorite to lift the trophy of Turning Stone Classic XXXVII, which he did in the end. This was the great final, quite a demanding race to 13, and in the end, Fedor Gorst was the winner. He turned it completely around from 7-9 down to 13-11 in the end.